He's staring at his phone right now, dying to type your name, and yet, nothing. It's not that he doesn't want to text you, it's that he's fighting a battle you can't see. Here's the truth. Men don't always go quiet because they're uninterested. Sometimes, silence is fear dressed as self-control. He worries about looking weak, about saying the wrong thing, about losing ground in a game he never admitted he was playing, and so he convinces himself that staying quiet is safer than pressing send. But that doesn't erase the truth. He still wants to talk to you. He still replays the last words you said. He still checks your social media just to feel a little closer without having to risk rejection. If you've ever wondered why silence feels louder than words, stay with me, because once you understand this, you'll never misread it again. Let me tell you something most women never realize. He wants to text you. He's staring at his phone, running 100 different thoughts in his head, wondering if he should break the silence, but he doesn't. And it's not because he doesn't care. It's because something much deeper is guiding every move. You see men work on a different frequency than women while you feel emotions and want to express them. He is ruled by something far more dangerous. His fear of losing control. If he sends that message, he risks exposing himself. He risks looking weak. He risks admitting that you have power over him, and that scares him even more than the thought of losing you. But here's what most people never tell you when a man doesn't text. It's not because he isn't thinking about you. It's because he's stuck thinking about you over and over. Silence is not indifference. It is his battlefield. He is fighting a war inside his mind, debating whether reaching out to you means surrender, and the very moment he feels you might have moved on, that's when his fear grows stronger than his pride. Here's something most people don't get about men. He wants to text you badly. He has picked up his phone many times, typed out words, then erased them like nothing happened. He's fighting with his own thoughts, going through different outcomes, wondering if he should press send. But something inside holds him back every single time. And it's not because he doesn't care. It's not because he's moved on. It's something much deeper, something rooted in him, controlling every hesitation. Men don't respond the way women do. When a woman feels something, she wants to share it. She wants connection, comfort, and clarity. But a man, he pauses, he measures, he waits, because for him, sending a message isn't just about words. It's about what it represents. And to him, what it represents means everything. If he texts you first, he feels like he's giving away power. He feels like he's opening himself up. And that is the last thing he wants to do. What you must understand is that his silence is rarely about not caring. Silence is a method, a shield, a way to guard his pride, to see if you will give in first. He's watching, waiting, wondering if you are going to break, and most women do. They believe that if a man doesn't reach out, it means he has forgotten them. They worry, they overthink, and they make the biggest mistake of all. They send the first text. The second you hit send, you may think you're bringing the connection back. You may think you're creating space for something good to happen. But what really happens is you confirm to him that he still has you, that he never needed to work hard for you. And once a man realizes he doesn't have to earn you, something in him shifts, the urgency fades, the longing dies down, and instead of pulling you closer, he slowly pulls away. But let's flip this for a moment. Imagine what happens when you don't text, when you meet his silence with your silence, when you let him sit in uncertainty, questioning where you are, what you're feeling, and most importantly, if you've already moved on now, the control slips out of his hands. Now he's the one overthinking, and the more time that passes, the more pressure builds inside him. That's the moment his own mind starts turning against him. He begins asking himself, did she forget me? Is she with someone else? Why hasn't she reached out? And the second he believes you might really be slipping away, his fear beats his pride. That's when he grabs his phone. That's when he finally texts, because a man will always run after what he thinks he's losing. But here's where most women make a mistake. They break the silence too soon. They don't trust the process. And I understand waiting feels heavy. You start doubting everything. You wonder if he's even thinking about you at all. But here's the truth. The very moment you feel the urge to reach out, that is the moment you must not. If you can hold your place, if you can stay in that position of power just a little longer, you will see him crumble. This is why so many women get trapped in cycles where men disappear and return only when it suits them, because men know the second they step back, you'll come chasing. They know they don't have to put in the effort because you will do it instead, and the only way to break that cycle is to do the one thing he doesn't expect, nothing. Now you might ask, what if he never texts again? That's actually the best thing that can happen, because a man who never comes back was never going to give you what you deserved anyway. But a man who truly values you, he will break before you do. He will reach out. He will find a way back, because when a man feels he's losing something truly valuable, he will fight for it. And that's the secret. You must become the one he's scared to lose, not the one he takes for granted, not the one waiting around hoping he remembers. You must be the woman who knows her value so clearly that she never has to prove it. The woman who understands that if he truly wants you, he will make the effort. So let him sit in silence. Let him carry the weight of missing you. Let him be the one to question what's going to happen next, because he's desperate to text you. But the second you prove you don't need him to, that is when he breaks. You may believe that if a man really cared, he would not hesitate, that if he truly wanted you, he wouldn't hold back. But that's where most women misunderstand men, because for him, the act of sending that text isn't only about missing you, it's about what it means. It's about control, and men fear losing control even more than they fear losing you. When a man texts first, he feels exposed, open, he risks showing too much too soon, and that scares him because deep down, he's taught to believe that the one who cares less holds the upper hand. He's been shaped to think that whoever reaches out first is the one at a disadvantage. And so he convinces himself that waiting, pulling away, keeping silent is the smarter move. But here's what no one tells him. It's a trap he builds for himself, because the longer he waits, the more pressure rises inside him. He keeps telling himself he doesn't care, that he can resist, that he is in charge. But the mind doesn't work that way. The more you avoid something, the stronger the desire grows, and slowly that silence begins to choke him. This is why so many men circle back, why they reappear suddenly, why they reach out just as you begin to move forward. It's because they were never as in control as they pretended to be. Their fear of losing control held them back from acting. But in the end, the fear of losing you grows stronger, and when it does, they come back. But most women don't allow them the time to reach that point. They see the silence as rejection instead of what it really is, a battle of power. And so they react, they reach out, they check in, and the moment they do, they take away the very pressure that would have made him chase, because now he no longer has to wonder. He doesn't have to miss you. He knows exactly where you stand, and that's when his desire fades. What you need to understand is that men don't place value on what comes too easily. They value what they fear losing. If he knows you'll always be there, if he knows you'll always be the one to reach out, he never has to fight for you. And if he never has to fight for you, he will never truly treasure you. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a man deeply value something he got without effort? It doesn't happen, whether it's his job, his goals, or even his belongings. A man puts the highest worth on the things he worked for, the things he sacrificed for, and love is no different. If he never feels the weight of your absence, he will never recognize your worth. This is why the most powerful step you can take is to do nothing, not in a way that plays games, not in a manipulative way, but as a reflection of your self-respect. Because a woman who knows her value doesn't need to chase. She doesn't need to prove her importance. She already feels it. And that certainty, that calm confidence, that is what draws men closer, because while he may fear losing control, there's something he fears even more, losing the woman who won't wait around for him to make up his mind, the one who knows that if he truly wants her, he will find a way. So let him stall. Let him battle with his pride. Let him sit in that silence until he learns that silence isn't power, it's pressure, and that pressure will either break him or reveal the truth. Because if he's truly afraid to lose you, he won't let that fear freeze him. He will move, and if he doesn't, then he was never meant to be yours. He's observing you more than you realize, more than he'll ever admit. Because men don't always show interest the way women do. A woman will text, call, check in, because she craves that connection, that security. But a man, he hangs back, he watches from a distance. He may not text you, but that doesn't mean he's not noticing you. You may think he's over you because he's quiet. You assume he doesn't care because he hasn't reached out. But silence doesn't mean absence. In fact, silence is often where his curiosity grows. The strongest, he's wondering about you, scrolling through your social media, replaying old talks in his head. But the moment you assume he's forgotten and you break the silence first, you kill the very mystery that was pulling him in. Men are built to chase, to pursue, to feel the weight of wanting something just beyond their reach. When you stop giving him updates, when you step back from sharing every piece of your life, his mind starts working against him. He starts imagining who you're with, what you're doing, and why you've gone quiet. And when a man is left to imagine, he doesn't forget, he fixates. But most women don't trust this process. They believe if a man isn't reaching out, he's not thinking of them, so they break the silence they post just to get his attention. They send a quick text to check in, but what they don't see is that by doing this, they take away all the pressure that was building inside him. Now he knows exactly where you are, and once a man is sure of you, once he knows he doesn't have to put effort into keeping your presence, the tension that pulled him in slowly disappears. The key is to realize that a man's silence is never truly empty. It's filled with doubt, with curiosity, with quiet questions. And when you stay in your power, when you let him sit in that unknown, you become the thought he can't push away, the thing his mind keeps returning to. And this is where many women make the mistake. They believe being seen means being loud. They think grabbing his attention means chasing or proving themselves. But true power, true presence is quiet. It's in the mystery that lingers after you've left. It's in the calm confidence of knowing you don't need to chase because your absence speaks louder than words. Think of the people who stayed on your mind the longest. They weren't the ones constantly pushing for attention. They were the ones who left a mark without trying, the ones who made you wonder, who made you question, who made you feel something long after they were gone. That's the energy you must carry, because when a man is quietly watching you, he's searching for hints. He's trying to see if you've moved on, if you still think about him, if he still holds any space in your heart. The more you reveal, the safer. He feels waiting, but the less you give, the more uneasy he grows, and that uneasiness creates action. So let him watch, let him wonder, let him sit in that tension of not knowing, because a man who truly wants you won't just observe forever. He won't hide in the background hoping for clues. If he feels he's losing you, he will act, and if he doesn't, then he was never going to in the first place. And that truth, that clarity, it's the most freeing gift you can give yourself. There's a battle happening in his mind. One part of him wants to text you to end the silence, to hear your voice. But the other part, the one ruled by fear, by pride, by the need to stay in control, that side stops him. Because to him, texting first isn't just about saying something. It's about admitting he can't stop thinking about you, and that terrifies him. Men are trained to avoid being emotionally exposed. They've been told since young that showing too much interest, being too available, makes them weak. So even if he's thinking of you constantly, even if he checks your social media at night, even if he longs to hear your voice, he won't act on it, because he feels that the moment he does, he gives away power, and power means everything to him. It's not just about you, it's tied to his identity, his sense of control, his belief that whoever cares less holds the advantage. He doesn't want to be the one waiting by the phone. He doesn't want to be the one reading into every little thing. So instead he convinces himself that silence is smarter, that if he waits long enough you'll give in. But what he doesn't see is that silence isn't protecting him, because the longer he waits, the more restless he becomes. He starts noticing your absence in unexpected ways. Songs remind him of you, places feel empty without you. Even the simple act of checking his phone feels different, because every time he looks at it, he wonders if your name will appear. This is where many women assume his silence means he's done that, because he isn't reaching out. So you think he isn't thinking about you, but that's not how desire really works. If anything, the silence only makes his thoughts of you stronger. It creates a space in his mind where you live, where he feels your absence as something real and undeniable. But the moment you text him first, all that tension vanishes, the curiosity, the wondering, the questioning, it all disappears, because now he doesn't need to miss you anymore. You've just shown him that he still has access to you. And once a man knows you're still there, he stops chasing. He stops feeling the urgency to act because there's nothing left for him to lose. This is why patience matters so much. A man will sit in silence for as long as you allow it. He'll wait and wait, thinking he's in control. But the second he realizes you're not waiting around, the moment he sees your life moving forward without him, that's when panic sets in. That's when the fear of losing you grows bigger than his fear of reaching out, because no man wants to lose something he thought he had time to come back to. No man wants to wake up one day and realize the door he believed would always be open is now closed. And when that day comes, he has only two choices: swallow his pride and act, or let you go. Either way, you win, because you never begged for attention. You never chased you, simply gave him space to show you what you truly meant to him. So let him wrestle with himself, let him fight against his hesitation, let him sit in silence until he sees that pride won't keep him warm at night, that control won't give him happiness. And if he really values you, if he honestly wants you, he will act, because no man wants to wake up realizing the woman he once thought about texting is now the woman he will never hear from again. He's holding his phone, staring at your name and battling with himself. He wants to reach out, he wants to say something. But every time something stops him, maybe it's pride, maybe it's fear, maybe it's the belief that if he waits long enough, you'll come to him first. Whatever the reason, he isn't acting on how he feels, he's acting on what he thinks is the safer move. Men are driven by a deep need for certainty. They don't like risking situations where they might lose, where they might feel weak, where they might not get the answer they hope for. And when it comes to you, he's already running through every possible outcome in his head. What if you don't reply? What if you sound cold? What if you've already moved on? The fear of rejection, of looking weak, of not being in control, these fears hold him back. So instead of sending the message, he waits, he distracts himself. He convinces himself that reaching out would be a mistake, but deep down he knows the truth. He knows he's avoiding the very thing he wants most. He knows the only reason he's holding back is because the moment he texts you, he admits he still cares, and that's the one thing he's not ready to face. This is where so many women misread silence. They think if he isn't texting, it means he doesn't want to, but most of the time it's not about desire, it's about what feels safe. And for most men, silence feels safer than risking emotion, because the moment he sends that message, he gives up control, he puts himself in a vulnerable spot, and that's why he hesitates. He fears the balance will shift, that he'll be the one waiting for your response instead of the other way around. But here's what he doesn't see by holding back. He's only hurting himself. The longer he stays silent, the more he feels your absence. What started as a choice not to reach out turns into a burden. It begins to weigh on him. He starts asking if he waited too long, if you stopped caring, if someone else has already taken the place he thought was his. That's when doubt begins to creep in. That's when he starts checking your social media, searching for clues, trying to see if you still think of him. He may not text, but he's looking for signs, for anything that shows him he still has a chance. And this is the point where most women break the silence. First, they notice his hesitation, they feel the distance, and they try to fix it. They send a message believing it will restore the connection. But the moment you do that, you take away his inner battle. You take away the tension that was building inside him. Now he no longer has to act, because you already did. The key is to let him sit with his own hesitation. Let him feel the discomfort of not knowing. Let him face what it feels like to truly miss you, to genuinely wonder if he lost you, because when a man reaches that stage, when he can't handle the silence anymore, that's when he moves. If he's willing to let the silence stretch on forever, then you already know the answer. You know he was never going to fight for you, and that truth is stronger than any text he could ever send. He picks up his phone, his fingers hovering over the screen, but he stops. He types a few words, then deletes them over and over. You might think that means he doesn't care, but that isn't true. He's thinking about you far more than you realize, but his pride won't let him break the silence. His need for control feels stronger than his desire to reconnect. At least for now, men are wired to avoid showing too much emotion. They see it as weakness, something that puts them at risk of losing power in the situation and in his mind. Whoever reaches out first is the one who loses control, so he convinces himself to wait. He tells himself if you really wanted to hear from him, you'd text him first. He waits, not because he doesn't care, but because he's afraid of what happens if he shows his feelings and you don't respond the way he hoped. But here's the truth. Silence isn't as easy for him as he pretends it is. At first he feels powerful, like he's in control, like he's the one calling the shots. But with time that silence turns against him, the longer he avoids reaching out, the more he feels the emptiness you left behind. He starts noticing small things, the songs that remind him of you, the places you used to go, the inside jokes that no longer make sense without you. And slowly those moments hit him harder and harder now. Instead of feeling like he's in charge, he begins to feel the weight of missing you. This is where the war inside his mind grows stronger. He wants to text you, but another thought stops him: pride. He knows that if he reaches out now after waiting this long, it will be clear that he lost the battle with himself. It will prove he couldn't resist, and that scares him, because if he texts now, what does it say about him? It means you had more influence on him than he wanted to admit. It means you got under his skin. It means he wasn't as detached as he tried to act. So instead of following his feelings, he does what many men do. He distracts himself. He fills his days with work, with friends, with anything that keeps his mind occupied. He scrolls through social media hoping to see a glimpse of you without having to actually speak to you. He waits for some sign, some excuse to break the silence without feeling like he gave in. But the truth about distraction is that it's only temporary. It doesn't erase the emotions. It only delays them. And no matter how hard he tries to run from it, there are always moments when the silence becomes too heavy, when the truth of what he lost finally sinks in, and that's when it hits him. Ignoring you never made him stronger. It only left him feeling empty. This is where most women get it wrong. They assume if a man stays silent, they should step in and break it. They feel they need to text him, post something he'll notice, remind him of what he's missing. But the truth is, the more you try to get his attention, the easier it is for him to stay where he's comfortable. Because if he knows you're still there waiting, he doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to feel the real weight of losing you. The only way to make him feel your absence is to truly give it to him, to let him sit in the reality of his choices, to make him wonder, to make him doubt, to make him feel the emptiness he created. Because the second he realizes you're not chasing him, that you're not waiting for him to come back, is the second he starts to panic. That's the breaking point. That's when silence shifts from a game into regret. That's when he begins questioning everything. Did he wait too long? Did he push you away for good? Is someone else already giving you the attention? He was too proud to give himself these thoughts. Eat at him, and they drive him toward the very thing he has been avoiding reaching out. But by the time he finally does, will you even want him anymore? Or will you have already realized that a man who needed to lose you to understand your worth was never strong enough to deserve you in the first place?